Most families think senior care gets expensive because of medical issues, declining health, more medications, more hands-on care. And yes, that's part of it. But what if I told you one of the biggest drivers of care costs isn't medical at all? It's loneliness. In fact, about 1 in 3 adults over 50 say they regularly feel isolated or lack companionship. And here's the part most people miss. Loneliness doesn't just feel bad, it actually speeds up decline. We've spent years working directly with seniors and families in their homes, watching what causes decline and what quietly slows it down. And here's what we've seen over and over again. The seniors who stay socially connected stay independent longer. And the ones who don't decline faster and cost more. In this video, we're going to break down why isolation increases care costs, how laughter actually improves health, and how simple connection can delay expensive care decisions. Because once you understand this, you stop thinking of care as just physical help and start seeing what really drives outcomes. Care costs don't usually spike overnight. They creep up. And one of the biggest triggers? Isolation. When a senior spends most of their day alone, they start to disengage. They move less. They think less. They participate less. And slowly, they decline. Not because they have to, but because nothing is pulling them forward. And research backs this up. Older adults who report poor physical or mental health are significantly more likely to also report loneliness. So these two things, health decline and isolation, they feed each other. We've seen seniors who were physically capable, but without interaction, they just stopped trying, stopped cooking, stopped walking, stopped engaging. And that's when care needs increase. More hours, more supervision, more cost.
They wanted to stay home, and I wanted to be a part of that process to help them do that.
When you introduce connection, everything shifts. Because staying home isn't just about safety, it's about feeling connected to life. And here's where it gets even more powerful. It's not just about being around people. It's what happens inside the body when connection happens. We tend to think of laughter as optional, just something nice. But in senior care, it's powerful. Because laughter triggers real physical changes. It lowers stress, improves circulation, supports immune function. But more importantly, it reconnects people to who they are.
She used to be like this incredible musician that loved to play the piano, played for her church.
After years of not playing, she sat down and played again. And in that moment, everything changed. That's what connection does. It doesn't just entertain, it restores identity. And when seniors feel like themselves again, they participate more in life, which means they stay independent longer. But here's what most families don't expect. This doesn't just affect the senior. It affects the entire family. Right now, 72% of caregivers report feeling more overwhelmed, anxious, or depressed after taking on the responsibility of caring for aging loved ones. And most caregivers help their loved ones on a daily basis, dedicating an average of 22 hours to their duties each week, often while juggling work and family. On top of that, family caregivers spend around $7,200 per year out of pocket on caregiving expenses. So what happens? They push through until they can't. And when burnout hits, decisions get made fast. More care hours, emergency support, or moving to a facility. But when support and social connection are introduced, everything changes. Caregivers get relief, seniors get engagement, and the system stabilizes.
Let the caregivers do the caregiving. Let the spouse be the spouse.
That shift matters, because when families can go back to being family, care becomes sustainable. And sustainable care is what prevents costs from spiraling. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Connection doesn't just slow decline. Sometimes it actually improves health. Now here's where this really starts to matter. Connection doesn't just make seniors feel better. It changes how care actually happens. We've seen situations where families are completely overwhelmed, exhausted, running on no sleep, trying to manage everything on their own. And then connection enters the picture. Not just help, not just tasks, but presence.
The spouse is so worried about caring for their loved one.
Think about what changed in that moment. The senior wasn't alone. The caregiver wasn't just completing tasks, she was present. And because of that, the wife, who had been carrying everything, could finally rest. That's not just emotional. That's a shift in the entire care environment. Stress goes down, support goes up, decisions get clearer, and when that happens, care improves. Because better supported families make better decisions. Seniors receive more consistent attention, and the situation becomes stable instead of reactive, which is where costs usually spiral. So while connection might seem small, it's actually one of the biggest levers you have, because when you change the environment around the senior, you change the outcome of their care. Most people think care is about tasks, bathing, dressing, meals, but the best caregivers bring something else: energy, conversation, presence, laughter. And here's why that matters, because 86% of caregivers say they worry about their loved one's loneliness. Not just safety, not just medical care, loneliness.
Just by providing people that can come in and give them some joy and relief it's very rewarding.
That joy isn't extra, it's essential, because without it, care becomes maintenance. With it, care becomes life-giving, and that changes everything. So here's the big takeaway. Care costs aren't just driven by health, they're driven by engagement. When seniors feel isolated, they decline faster. When they feel connected, they stay independent longer. And that one shift from isolation to connection can delay increased care hours, emergency interventions, and even moving into a facility, which means it doesn't just improve quality of life, it reduces cost. And at the end of the day, that's what every family wants: a loved one who is healthy, happy, and able to stay home. Because the goal isn't just to add years to life, it's to add life to those years. If you're caring for a loved one right now, start with this question: are they connected? Because sometimes the most powerful care solution isn't more care, it's more connection.